Hi, this is Juanmi from tagtog, and here I show you how to use the automatic merging of annotations built in tagtog to help you with the adjudication process. The use case is that I myself, in this project, am a reviewer, and for this sample document, the master version, that is the final version of this document, does not have any annotations yet. However, the document was annotated already by the users and confirmed by the users. And now the question is how to use the annotations of those users to finally choose and decide the master final version of this document. And to do that, we will use the merging strategies, or also called adjudication strategies, built in tagtog. These are adjudication by union, adjudication by intersection, majority vote, and choosing the best annotators based on inter-annotator agreement. Let's see how these merging strategies work with this sample document. Here have the text, I like me some pizza and milk on Saturdays. So let's see how the different users annotated this document. Let's go first now to user A. And we can see that the user A annotated here pizza as some type of food, as we will expect. And for the document label, for the sentiment value, user A chose a positive one. Okay. Now let's see how user B annotated this document. And we see that user B annotated pizza as food, milk as some drink, and user B also selected a sentiment of being a positive one. Okay. And finally, let's go to user C. And we see that user C annotated pizza as some food, milk as some drink, and Saturdays as some kind of time. And user C, for the sentiment analysis, chose a value of neutral, a neutral sentiment. Good. So now let's see how the different merging strategies work. First, let's see adjudication by union. The description says, move to master all the annotations which existed in any version. So that means tagtog will select all the annotations made by all the annotators and move them to master. Let's click on the button. And tagtog will ask us for confirmation if I really want to do this, to merge the annotations into master. I will say yes, absolutely. And now we see that indeed all the annotations that were done by all the users remain in the master version by using the merging strategy based on union. We see the pizza, the milk, and some Saturdays, and the document label, the sentiment value with a positive value. Now, the characteristic of the union merging strategy is that it does also some kind of voting. And we can see that, we see the annotation format of the document, that is the annotation of the document. So, for instance, pizza was annotated by all the users of the project of this document, and therefore we see those users here. And we also see that this annotation has a probability of 1, that is, of 100%. For milk, however, this was only annotated by user B and user C, and therefore now we have a confidence probability of 2 out of 3 annotators. So that is 2/3 of a probability. And for Saturdays, in this case, this was only annotated by user C, and now therefore we have a probability of 1/3. As for the document label, what tagtog did is, for the union strategy, choose the most repeated value, which in this case was the positive set. But anyhow, because it was only selected by user A and user V, we will see that the probability of this is 2/3. Okay. And this is how the merging strategy based on union works. Now let's see how the merging strategy based on intersection works. The description says, move to master only those annotations common to all the versions. So that is, tagtog will select only those annotations that were repeated and done equally the same by all the annotators. We click on the button and we say yes, confirm. And now we see that only pizza remains in the final annotations because it was the only annotation that were repeated and done by all the annotators equally the same. The same way, the sentiment now is left undone because only 2 people annotated this and not everybody. Of course, I myself as a reviewer could change the value and then finally say, yes, this is positive, and select this, the right value that I want as usual. Okay. And this is how adjudication based on intersection works. Now let's see adjudication by majority vote. The description says, for each single annotation, move it to master only if it was annotated by over 50% of the annotators. And here, tagtog is indeed applying the majority rule, and it will only select the annotations that were done by at least 50% or more than 50% of the annotators. So in this case, at least 2 annotators must have annotated something in order if this strategy chooses this annotation. Let's click on the button. And now indeed we see that for this merging strategy, that is majority vote, we see pizza and milk. And for the sentiment, we also see the positive value. We can see the probabilities on the adjacent format. And we can see that, for instance, pizza, it was annotated by everybody, so that's fine. So the probability is now 1. But milk was annotated only by 2 users, and the probability is 2/3. But because this is over 50%, this annotation will be selected based on the majority rule. Analogously, the positive value, because it was annotated by at least 2 people, the value will also be annotated, and again, the probability will be 2/3. Okay. And this is how the merging strategy based on majority vote works. Now, let's see how the final merging strategy based on choosing the best annotators based on inter-annotator agreement works. The description says, for each single annotation task, move to master the annotations of the member with the best inter-annotator agreement. Now, for this strategy, what tagtog does is to use the inter-annotator agreement metrics of the project for all the users that are automatically annotated by tagtog. To see the metrics, we go here to this tab, and here we see all the metrics of the project, including the inter-annotator agreement values, and we can see the values broken down by entity type. For example, for time, drink, food, and everything else that we have. Document label, relationships, and so on. So the merging strategy based on choosing the annotations of the best annotator, what does is selects first for each annotation type the best annotator. In this case, for instance, for time, we see that user C has a bigger average than the other users. In this case, is over 53%, and this is a little bit bigger than the average probability of the other users. Therefore, this strategy will choose the annotations of user C for this annotation type, for time. Analogously, for the other annotation types, tagtog will choose the best annotator, and then finally, for this strategy, choose the annotations of the best annotator. So let's go back to the document. And now here let's click on adjudication by best annotators. Let's confirm. And now for this case, for this sample document, we see that all the annotations remain. Now, However, if we go to the annotation format, to the AnJSON, for instance, for Saturdays, we see that actually, in this case, we did not do any type of voting. We see that this annotation was done only by the user C, but in this case, the probability is not 1/3, but rather is a probability of 1, because this merging strategy just selected or picked the annotations for time from this user, from user C, because user C is the best annotator for annotating time. Therefore, now we have a probability of 1. For the other annotations, the process is the same. We will always choose the annotations of the best annotator. In this case, for drink, we also have user B. And well, in this case, also for food, we also have user B. And for the sentiment analysis, this merging strategy will also select the user B as the best annotator and therefore select the annotations of that user. Okay. So this is how the merging strategies work: union, intersection, majority vote, and best annotators. All these merging strategies work for all annotation types of tagtog. Here we saw that how this works with entities and with document labels, but this of course works with any other annotation type, including entity labels, entity normalizations, and also entity relationships. In order to see how all the details of those merging strategies, we can go to the docs. And here on multi-user annotation, let's go to this item, adjudication or merging. And here, all the merging strategies that we saw are explained in detail. And finally, also, let's say that the merging strategies are also available as an API call. So here in API of documents, and here we see how to use the API to programmatically merge the annotations of a document, choosing the merging strategy that we want. Okay, and this is a summary of how the different merging strategies work on tagtog. Please, if you have any questions, just let us know at info@tagtog.net. We will be very happy to answer you all your questions. Thank you so much and see you soon.